If you've been following the Florida real estate market, just by reading the news, you might think the housing market in Florida is crashing. And that's actually wrong. Half of the market is pretty much on fire right now, and the other half is turning into, well, more like a dumpster fire. So unless you own a $10 million estate on the water, you're winning in that case. But if you're trying to sell a 3-bedroom house for maybe $800,000, maybe $900,000 in West Palm, you're absolutely getting crushed right now. So I'm going to show you the exact data. What are the pockets that are winning right now? What are the areas where the market's getting kind of paralyzed? And I'm going to help you to understand the $1 million divide so that you don't leave 6 figures on the table here. So here's the reality of the housing market in Palm Beach depending on the price point. So if you're trying to sell a house in Palm Beach County, depending on where you exactly sit in the price tier of the market, it may be a seller's market, it may be a buyer's market. So for instance, if you're looking at a $500K house, you're now looking at roughly 38 days on market. That's a seller's market. If you're moving the needle up, if you're like at $850,000, $900,000 for a house, you're looking at almost 4 months to market that property to successfully sell it. If you're getting into the luxury segments, $2 million, that's 42 days. $5 million is 38 days. And even the 10 million and plus market is moving extremely fast. So these luxury segments, they're all in the seller's market right now. Now, let's put this into historical context. Back in 22, an $850,000 house would sell within probably 40 days. Today, it's 110 days. So where is that gap coming from? Well, it's mainly because obviously interest rates, but at the same time, it's also skyrocketing insurance premiums. And that segment of the market really is most sensitive to interest rates because that is the transitional phase into the luxury market. So you do have a small pool of buyers really that can afford this type of property at this current interest rate level. And they're obviously super picky and choosy right now of what they want to buy. Rightfully so, right? If they're spending that kind of money and they have to eat a 6.5% interest rate, well, they're probably going to make a very educated decision. And they would take their time to make that decision. So you have to know that if you're trying to sell a house, to be aware that when you put a house on the market, depending on how you position the market, it may just be the starting point for a negotiation. It's probably not going to be the final price. And on the flip side, if you're trying to buy a house in this market, know that because things are moving so slow at that inventory point, you will have a lot of leverage to get the best deal for yourself. Now, on the flip side, if we look at the $5 million plus market, that market is moving really fast, actually, faster than the historical average that we've seen. And it's mostly because we've seen a massive migration of wealth into the Palm Beaches. We've seen hedge funds come here, a lot of big corporations relocated their headquarters into this area. There's a massive development boom, driven by Ross and related and these big time developers over here. So if you want to know who's winning in this market right now, it's definitely that high end tier of the market. On the flip side, who's in the danger zone? Well, that's really, around 800, 900,000. 93% of all homes that are listed for sale at that price point, they have seen a price reduction actually in order to get the property moved. So know that when you list a property for sale, most likely your starting price is not going to be your final sales price. And on the flip side, if you're a buyer in this market right now, obviously it's a phenomenal opportunity. Not only do you have the time, 110 days, right, on average, to really figure out what's the best deal for you, but also you can leverage your position because there's more inventory available than there are currently buyers out there competing with you. So the market really started changing in 2022, right? So since the middle of 2022 until today, Palm Beach has recorded roughly 45,000 sales. And so the kicker here is, homes priced $5 million and higher, they have surged by 77% year over year. Let that sink in. Whereas the other parts of the market, they have actually seen a slowdown. The majority of them are probably 15 to 25% below the levels that we had seen before. And it all comes down to affordability for those price segments, of course. Another data point that really supports the current influx of wealth into our Palm Beaches, probably when you look at the regional spread. So if you're selling in a gated community in Boca Raton, let's say $2 million, that house is going to move really, really fast. On the flip side, if you're selling a house, let's say in West Palm Beach, 3-bedroom for 800, 900K, that is going to be really an uphill battle. And it's not only because of the price points, but also in West Palm Beach, you have a lot of new development, new construction that was built right around that time. And so you have an influx of supply in that area on top of the already difficult market situation that you're facing anyways. So I get the question all the time, well, where's all of this going to go? Now, obviously, real estate doesn't make any major leaps overnight, right? I always jokingly say real estate is like a tanker ship and it makes very small moves to get from one side to another. So right now, in that particular price point that is hurting, the most, right? It's between 500K up to 900,000 probably. That's not really going to change overnight. We're probably going to see this extend for a while, at least 12 months, maybe 24 months. And it's partially driven by the interest rates, but honestly what I'm seeing in the market is that those type of buyers, they're actually kind of getting used to seeing that level of interest rates right now. But it's even more so, especially if you're looking at an older house, you have high insurance premiums. So I see a lot of folks actually trade off right now between newer construction, and as I just mentioned, there was an influx of that over the last couple of years, particularly in West Palm, to comparing that to older homes. So the big part of the market that's actually hurting the most are older homes priced around $800,000. Now, what does any of this mean for you? Well, if you're looking to sell your house in the current market environment, it is crucial to understand where do you fall in, not just based on the price tier, but also is your particular pocket where you're trying to sell, is that a buyer's market, is it a seller's market? And my biggest recommendation is to not base your pricing on 12-month-old or maybe 15-month-old sales, because we just found out it's been a declining market since 2022 already, right? So what we recommend to our clients is forward-based pricing. So if you know where the market is headed, you base your strategy to sell the house based on where it's going, not where it has been. And if you're on the buy side, what we recommend is we identify the areas where you have the biggest leverage, not just based on the price point, but again, just the flip side of what I just mentioned for sellers, right? We would identify your biggest leverage points depending on the neighborhoods and the areas, and then that's where we try to get you the best deal. So if any of that rings a bell or sounds of interest to you, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help. We've helped hundreds of families to move into and out of our beautiful Palm Beaches, and we would love to hear from you and obviously add you to our client family. So thank you so much for watching. See you next time.